that's done teacher training together, so they become like family, you know. And so of course whenever we speak to each other, we like get these memories of talks and things that we've gone through, you know, together. Because doing a teacher training course or even creating a Sangha, the wonderful thing about it is that we become family. And I think there are many things you can't talk to people about in the world. They think you're nuts, you know, especially when you talk about spiritual stuff, or, you know, you want to make your life better or happy. People think you're, you know, oh, you're living in a la-la land. But it's really nice when you're with a group of people who know, who practice the science of the mind and see there's another way of living and being, and it works. It's magical. It really works. And that's the exciting part. And this is what Sangha is, you know. It doesn't matter what the world thinks of us, but so long as we can live a great life, because life is short and our days are numbered. So why waste any time and just live it beautifully? And this is really, and we can talk to each other about it. So it doesn't matter if the world thinks we're nuts, it's okay. You know, we're still living in our heaven. And I think more and more we need to be individuals to live the way we need to live. I think we are so subjected to what society tells us we should be that we forget to be who we are. We just forget to be ourselves, and we're frightened to be ourselves. And you know, the topic tonight is how to deal with panic attacks, and a lot of them happen because people are so frightened to simply be themselves. They feel they'll be rejected or not liked or not loved, and you know, I keep saying over and over again, what does it matter so long as you live a happy life and a good life? Because when you love yourself, automatically the world will love you. And the less you go chasing after people and people pleasing, the more they'll come running after you. And I think we just have to change our psyche. It's a lot of very simple work, great work, a lifetime of work. Finally, because when the body is no longer capable of moving, it really, for them who still left in the body, they feel a feeling of indignity, you know? When they lose all their continence, it's so hard for them. So we have to let them go. And the greatest gift we can give them is be happy for them. They're free. They don't have to stay in a broken body. They can fly. And this is, you know, and when you really understand that, you know, I'm not just saying it in words, but when you really understand that they are free, then really you'll cry because you miss them. And the pain of losing somebody you love is terrible. It's terrible. But what happens at the same time is when you have this knowledge, you can be happy for them at the same time. It's so important. And when you're happy for someone, the pain lessens so much more. You know, when you're happy for people, when you know they're free. This is what we must allow more people to be in this world. Free. And ourselves especially. You know, again, when we don't feel free, when we feel trapped in our anger, in our moods, in our sorrows, in our past, when we don't let those things go, that is one of the sources of panic attacks. You know, the panic attack shows that there's a lot of repression. We haven't forgiven. There's something about ourselves that we haven't really worked out. And that's why they happen. But we'll go through the whole spectrum of panic attacks in a while. Do you have any questions, or should I just start?
Did you have a nice summer?
I had a wonderful summer. Thank you. Well, I came back from London a little tired. It wasn't a restful summer, but I had this last week, 5 days of really quiet time, so I am rested. 5 days for me is a lot.
Yeah, it seemed like you had a lot going on, and I was
it's a lot.
worried about you not resting enough for yourself.
Yeah. Oh, thank you very much.
When I left you, I thought, ooh, I hope she has the energy to get through all you were going to do.
Oh, thank you. God has been kind. I have the energy. I could walk. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, it's hard to, when you love your work, you just don't think of being tired, do you? It doesn't happen. And it's so exciting when, it really is like your daughter was feeling. It is so exciting when you feel there's so many people out there that just want to live better. And after, like you said, you know, Tony, like leaving, and then you see that they know they can live better. They know they can be happy. So you can imagine my job, how fulfilling that is. But each one of us can live like that, because each one of us has the gift in us. We're just forgotten. And this is the problem. We've forgotten how to be human beings simply because we're too frightened. Fear is the cause of all panic attacks. Big word, fear. And that's what causes it. And I have, you know, medications will not help you. In fact, in many of the cases I've worked with in the last 20 years, I've seen people who go on antidepressants actually take a lot longer to cure. Because not only do we have to get over the panic, but their dependency on the drugs. Because they've been told for so many years, oh, you can't get by without these drugs. So there's so much fear in, first of all, letting go of these drugs. And that takes, like, you know, my worst case took me 7 years. Because it took 7 years to convince the gentleman I was working with that he no longer needed those drugs. Because while you're on drugs, what are antidepressants? They're relaxants. They're mind controlling. Now, if something is controlling your mind, can you work on it? Even if you wanted to, you can't. And if you notice people who are on these antidepressants for long periods of time, look at their eyes. They look dazed. They get tired very quickly. And all of them complain of impotence to me. They have big problems. So they have another secondary problem, which is failure in relationships. So it's like a spiral downwards. So my advice to most people is, don't start on the drug. There is a drug that you can use and you become the doctor. The whole yoga science, the whole science is learning to understand that you are not your thoughts. Did you hear that? You are not your thoughts. You are actually spiritual beings in a physical body. Our mistake starts when we take those thoughts and personalize them. Yes, thoughts are there. Can we control our thoughts? Of course we can. Simple. Can you all close your eyes for me? Just 1 second, please. Straighten your spine, close your eyes. Take a slow, deep breath. Exhale. Wear a smile on your lips. See a beautiful scene in front of you. Beautiful blue sea, blue sky. Yourself walking on the beach without a care in the world. It's great to be alive, to feel the sun on my back, to feel the sand on my heels and my feet. See yourself smiling. Open your eyes, please. What did you just do? I suggested thoughts. Maybe all of you could see those pictures in your mind. Maybe you couldn't. If you couldn't see the pictures in your mind, means that you have a lot of stuff in there, a lot of worry, a lot of fear, a lot of anguish, all right? If you could see the view clearly, means you have quite a clear mind. Okay, so the first thing we learn to do is watch our thoughts. Because what is panic attacks? Is the thought takes over. I can't do it. I'm not able to do it. I'm going to die. I'm frightened. I'm not going to make it through the day. Have you seen people they become paralyzed? They literally can't move. And what happens is because they become paralyzed with fear, they don't even want to go out. They're embarrassed about the fear. They're embarrassed about the way they think. Then they start to feel, next step is they're not good enough. There's something wrong with them that they should be having these panic attacks. They're not good enough. And then it's a whole trail of circumstances that will happen to them. They start to become agoraphobic. They don't want to go out. I don't want to face the world. One of the things that's so common with panic attack patients that I've seen is they can't stand going to supermarkets. Anybody know that feeling? Anybody have had panic attacks and known that? Supermarkets for them has been terrible. You know, you felt that. Just can't do it, can't deal with people, can't deal with buying stuff, you know, can't deal, just can't deal. So how do we work on those kind of fears on a physical level? We'll work with it starting physically first. As soon as a panic attack appears, you know the signs. Sri Patanjali, in the old Yoga Sutras of Sri Patanjali, which is over 4,000 years old now, says, watch out for these signs. Trembling of the body, disturbed breathing, trembling of your legs, being anxious. Watch for these signs. The moment you see these signs, you know something is wrong. Stop whatever you are doing. Stop. Find a quiet place and take a deep breath. If you don't stop, the thought and the fear will escalate. And the idea is that thought and that fear should not escalate. So you stop immediately. Take a deep breath. I am not my thoughts. So what thought is disturbing me? That is the question you have to ask. What thought is disturbing me? Is there some guilt in your life? Look at that. Then comes the work, the psychological work that you only can do. Now you know the feeling. Stop. Medication will not cure it. Breathing will cure it temporarily, and give you the space you need just to stop the process escalating. Alright? It will give you a temporary repose. That's all. But until you find the cause of the panic attacks, you cannot heal it. So that's what you have to look at. And in my experience, I have seen most people either have this unfounded guilt of something they've done in the past that they cannot forgive themselves for. So then the next step is, if that is your case, learn to face what you did in your mind. Bring it back to your mind, and then learn to forgive it. Also be aware of how that thought or that action in the past made you feel so bad. Think of a thought that's made you feel horrible about yourself. Maybe a moment of anger or something you feel embarrassed about. Maybe, like taking too much, hurting people through drugs. Whatever it is, getting drunk, whatever. Something that makes you feel so bad afterwards. Sri Patanjali in the Yoga Book of Science tells us, look how old this science is. By remembering the pain it caused you, by remembering the pain it caused you, will stop you from repeating the action again. So what you do is you get, let's say, panic, and it normally comes first in the appearance of anger. It comes in the appearance, anger is the first sign, watch for it. It's actually you're angry with yourself. You're really angry with yourself. You have to find out where the anger is coming from. See how that matrix grows with panic attacks? Fear, anger, guilt, worry. And then the feeling, oh my God, I can't deal with any of it. I can't go on. Then you feel so bad about yourself. I'm going to lose my partners. I'm going to lose everybody in my life. Because they can't bear to see me like this. I'm not good enough. Downward spiral. Sri Patanjali in the Book of Science says, stop it immediately. You can do it. You can do it. And that's the interesting thing. You can do it. So the next thing you do is find out that thought or that action and how it makes you feel. by constantly reflecting on the way it makes you feel, it will not make you want to do it. It will stop it. Last time I lost my temper, for example, I made this person feel rotten. They walked out of my life, or they said they don't want to be with me anymore. Do I really want to go through all this painful process again? I don't. So what should I do? But I feel angry, and I feel frightened, and I feel scared, and I can't control it. What do? If that taking a deep breath doesn't help, go for a walk. Go for a jog, run. Go to the gym. Exercise is brilliant. Why? Because it helps the endorphins to come out. That helps you to be happy. So there's something physical you can do as well. So take a deep breath. Find out the cause. Realize by repeating the action of fear, of shaking, you only magnify it. Remember, I don't want to magnify it. Distract yourself initially. So you can't do it with the breathing, go for a good jog, go for exercise. If you can't do it like that, call up a friend who is positive and doesn't feel sorry for you. There's nothing to feel sorry about. It's not a disease. It's just knowledge that you need. Yeah? It's not a disease. I remember I used to have panic attacks. Because I was very young. I was 33. This is before yoga. I nearly had them every night. I was very young, came from a very wealthy family. So always looked after, got married, and we had a bad bout in business. I used to run a business with my husband, 2 kids in boarding school, which was really expensive. And I remember my husband telling me, this season, we can't make enough, we're going to, and I said, I'm not going to be able to pay for the school fees. How silly things. Now I look back and I laugh at how did I feel so panicky about these things? They're so unimportant now. There were so many solutions, but I couldn't see solutions because I was in that place. And then the next thing is blame my husband for the business that's going bad, blame this, blame that. It's a downfall. You blame everybody except looking within. And this is where yoga, when I started to realize I could control my thoughts, that I was responsible for everything that happened to me. When I stopped blaming, that is when you start healing. Take it in. That's the first step of healing. Stop outside blaming anybody. Start healing yourself. And I learned to become my best doctor. And that was the exciting part of it. Learning to be my own doctor. And how did I learn this? We're going to skip a little bit to the spiritual aspect. That's why when people go for psychology sometimes and go see a psychiatrist or psychologist, it does help. It really does help. But only so far. You keep coming back to the same thing again and again and again. And what I've learned with spiritual psychology, when you remind people about who they are, really, their souls living in the body, when you ask them to get in touch with that, either through meditation, either through prayer, either through quiet time, whatever way they feel comfortable, when you get them to get in touch with that higher self, we call it in yoga, higher self, the one that witnesses the way your mind thinks, that one that witnesses, because you can all see your mind, can't you? You can see the good side of yourself and the bad side, really demon and angel on the shoulders, isn't it? Who is the demon? Who's the angel? Who's watching both? Who's watching both? You are. You don't have to follow the demon. You can say, no, I'm taking my control back. And the yoga science say, when you connect with that higher self, you feel a surge of force, of power, coming from somewhere else. You can't explain to anybody else. Call it God, call it Jesus, it really doesn't matter. The words, call it divine consciousness, irrelevant, but there is a force, and it's greater than all of us. And when you connect with that force, and then you say, I have help, and help is coming from within me, you can do anything. Our master used to say, if you have complete faith, nothing is impossible. But you have to have complete faith first. That you are not this body. It's only temporary. You're much more than it. you convinced of that? Do you know that? Are you all convinced you're much more than this body? Anybody not convinced? Go convince yourself. That's the first thing I did. Why is it important to know that? Because it gives you a little bit of detachment. It allows you space. Oh, Nalanie is just a body on loan. I have a certain character. So I can watch the way Nalanie is thinking, and I can decide how I want Nalanie to live. But who is the I that is watching the mind? Everybody in this room, you know, who are you? I am Karen, I am Steve, I am Trevor. So Trevor belongs to the I. So who is the I? Who is the I? You know, and when Moses asked God on Mount Sinai when he got the 10 Commandments, now these are really important, the 10 Commandments. And we'll give you our yoga commandments too. And he gives him the 10 Commandments. He says, who are you? And he answers, I am that I am. And our spiritual master was saying, every time you say I, remember the higher you. If you remember where you come from that I am that I am, then you know there's much more to you than you even dreamed of. And that's the exciting bit when you discover that. And that's where meditation comes in. That's why we sit down in quiet. Because unless you sit down in quiet and watch your mind think, you can't change it. Unless you sit in front of a computer, and if you want to go on Facebook, if you don't click on Facebook, you're not going to get in. You've got to click on it. And then if you don't have the app in your iPhone, then you can't get on Facebook. What do? Go get the app. Right? So this is the same. If you want to get to the app of your spirit, you've got to sit quiet to understand it, because it's so subtle. We all know that we are spirit. We just don't like to talk about it a lot. I mean, so many in this room have lost people. And if you look at the dead body, what's gone? Any of you, if you've seen a dead body, they're no longer there, are they? There's nobody there. There's just a vehicle. How many of you have seen a dead body in your life? Yeah. They're no longer there. Isn't it true? It's gone. So who's gone? Who's gone? If the body remains and is going to be buried, who left the body? That energy, that vibrant energy. And you can use that energy as a driving force while you're living. The problem in our world is we don't energize ourselves. That's why everybody today, there's so many panic attacks. And it's getting worse all the time, because human beings have no time for themselves anymore. As you know, with the coming of technology, it's like all day on emails and Facebooks and stress and stress and stress, and the soul is telling you, you need time for you before you die, and that's the warning of the soul. That is the panic, that is the great fear, and that's the underlying cause of all panic attacks. It's the soul telling you, you are working in a way in your life that no longer works. Look deeper. And every single person I've worked with in panic attacks, I tell them to be so grateful for it, because they've been suffering so much from it that they have to get themselves out of it. And then when they get themselves out of it, it's a new life, it's a new beginning. And they're so happy. Oh, Nalanie, how did I live in those panic attacks for so many years? So you just didn't have the tools. You just didn't, it's just so simple. Spend a little time with yourself, energize your spirit. So few people do this these days. Nobody goes for quiet little walks. That's why having a dog is good. It is good. It makes you go for these little quiet walks. And steady yourself. Nobody takes time to just be with each other, you know? It either has to be with a drink or getting drunk, but nobody really just sits like, come, let's chat. You know, now I was giving a talk in Swindon for 2 nights. So my host, she always invites a lot of people, and she's very generous and very kind. I tell you, the English are really good people and very kind. So anyway, we just all day sitting in the kitchen, chit-chatting, so simple, about everything, the spirit, about life, about God, about just living a good life. And you know, these are the best days of our life. Being truthful about things and not hiding them. You know, you don't believe in something, then question right away. Don't pretend. Yeah, it's good. No, you don't believe in it, question it. Question, ask. Don't be a fool, don't be blind. And then, you know, the day goes and it's and we didn't need TV and we didn't need drinks and we didn't need anything. It's nice soothing cups of teas and coffees. We just had a great day. The most beautiful days of your life was spent. And no mind stuff, no anguish, no fears, just safety. Just a safe feeling. And we don't do this for each other anymore. We don't talk to each other. We're not kind and gentle with each other. You know, when I was giving this course in London on the science of the mind, which is really a 6-day intensive course, what made me so happy was one of the woman that took the course was a psychologist and counselor, and she'd been like that, I think, for 25 years or something like that. And she came back at the end of the course, and she was really, I think I told some of you last week, she said to me, "Hi, Nalanie, I'm really excited. All the jigsaw pieces of my work for the last 20 years have finally fit into place. So I got really excited. So tell me, what have you learned? You know, you've been working with people for 20, 25 years as a psychologist." And she said, "What I have learned is I can't heal them. I can't seem to crack it. They keep coming back." So I said, "What has made you realize, what is the healing factor in it all?" And she said to me, "There was one sutra you taught us." And the sutra said, sutra is one of the sequences or verses in the whole text that I teach. And it says, there are 2 types of thoughts in your mind, painful or painless. Our master said, let's substitute those thoughts and make it simple, even simpler. Selfish or selfless. And she said, I have learned that all my patients, their problem is they're selfish. And I'm going to go back and teach them how to heal themselves. And how are you going to do that? I'm going to tell them to every day think of something they can do for somebody else. Because they're just wrapped up in themselves. And it's all about I. And that's where my therapy hasn't worked. I said, you're brilliant, you got it. Because of course, if you're miserable and you have so many problems and you're all day focusing on I, what will happen? It will magnify common sense. You're frightened and all day talking about, I'm frightened. What have you done? You've reinforced that thought 1,000,000 times. You've given it power. So hard to get away from yourself. So distraction. You distract for something you like, it's still about you. But when you distract and do something good for somebody else and you see somebody's face happy, there is a reward in that face, there's that smile. Our master said, the dedicated ever enjoy supreme peace. So live only to serve. But how can you serve the world if you can't even serve yourself? You cannot. So learn to serve yourself well first. Learn to teach yourself these selfless habits. So what do? You go home and you write down the traits that make you sick about yourself. I call these horrible traits ego-sick traits. You know the feeling. It gives you a sick feeling in your gut after you've done it. Everybody knows it. It shows you've done something extremely selfish. When people come to me with this gut, I said, what have you done that you feel so bad about? How did you know? It's pain here, it tells you. And then from there, because you don't work with it, it goes to your heart. It builds the pressure up to your heart. And then you feel you're getting a panic attack. So let's deal with the cause. What's got your gut going? What did you say to somebody yesterday? Yeah, but they deserved. I'm not asking you whether they deserved it or not. I'm asking you what you are feeling with that anger. Nothing to do with them. Yeah, but you don't know what they did to me. No, stay away. What is causing you the anger and the pain? What did you say? Oh, I swore, I suffered. Did it make you feel better? At that moment, how do you feel now? Horrible. Okay, and that's causing the pain in your gut. So you need to do two things. If you feel the person was really wrong, go and apologize for being so rude and talk to them nicely about it. Try and fix it. Or ignore them totally. But is it worth getting yourself sick over it? You have said those horrible words in return. And that's why you're feeling the pain. So you want to stop yourself from feeling the pain. Again, in the yoga science, it says, disregard the wicked. It's one of the ways of dealing with things. When you see there's wickedness somewhere, or meaning, being in an atmosphere where people are cruel and unkind, don't condone it. Sometimes even when you say your opinion, at that kind of situation, you put yourself in danger. Sometimes you just have to walk away. Neither give it positive energy, neither give it negative energy, and definitely in a situation where people are very negative, don't give an opinion. You'll get your head chopped off. Please take that advice. When they're not in the place to take anything from you, don't advise them. Walk away. All these things, when they're gathered up in our spiritual muscles, our mind, make us panic because we feel we're not comfortable anywhere. We no longer feel comfortable anywhere. And that's the spirit talking to us saying, hey, it's time to wake up. He said, I'm not comfortable in my home. I'm not comfortable at work. I'm not comfortable with my friends. I'm not comfortable when I go out at a party unless I drink 10 drinks. I'm not comfortable anywhere. So then you build up this, where am I comfortable? I'm not comfortable anywhere. It's fear. It's fear. All fear. So learn to be comfortable with you. Do you know one of the nicest things that happened to me after I understood these spiritual practices, started to meditate, started to understand the process of it, was the nicest feeling I ever had was, I'm finally home. I feel at home with me. And I think the moment I felt at home with me, the panic attacks disappeared by themselves. By themselves. And I really didn't even go into yoga for that. I really went into yoga because I was questioning life, death, injustice. Was there really a God? I wanted to know before I died. And what I discovered was a myriad of wonderful things that I'd never seen in my life before. It's almost like I had new eyes to look at the world from a very unselfish point of view. My world was, and I thought I was not selfish. But it was all about Nalanie at that point. I'm miserable, I have to do this work. I would do it, but I would complain. What's the point? It was all focused on, this person should speak to me like that. Why didn't this person like me? This was all mind stuff. I never actually voiced it. But it was going on in my head. As if the whole world should bow at my feet. That's how important I thought I was. Another lesson I learned is go look at the stars at night. Imagine you're one of those stars and you're looking down upon you. You're not even a speck of dust. So who do you think you are to think you're so important that the whole world has to work around your joy, your sorrow, your anger, your peace? Who on earth do you think you are, Nalanie? And you know that was a humbling experience. So anytime you get into the I mode, notice you become unhappy. I want. Notice. That was my next step. Notice. I have to say this, even though it hurts someone. So you notice, start to notice. This is the cure, you have to do it. There's no shortcuts. You notice yourself. And then you change it by doing something really nice for someone. Something so unexpected. Just make somebody smile. Something kind. Why? Because it will make you feel so good about you. And then you get some, oh, you know, I'm not such a bad person after all. There's some goodness in me. You know, I can make people laugh. I'm worth something. I am worth something. Again, deep embedded in panic attacks is a feeling of low self-esteem. I'm not good enough. I did horrible things in my life. I wasn't a good mother, I wasn't a good father, I wasn't a good human being. Change it. As my master would say, you know, we are all children of the universe. All of us, each one is special. And what I have learned in my life, that working with different people, that everybody has a beautiful soul. Everybody. But unfortunately, the minds are not so good. So we need to work on the minds. But the soul of every human being is perfect. But the mind doesn't know. We don't know what to do with our minds. So train the mind, and the soul shines. And this is the whole yoga science. Train your mind. You go to the gym to train. Train your mind, train your life. Give yourself a schedule. Every day, I promise myself, I will do a good deed. Oh, Les was telling me that he had done that practice. So he said every day when he walked into Gibraltar, there's a woman who sits on the casement square, and she has a dog, and she's been there for years, an alcoholic. And every day he'll bring her a bottle of water. Made him feel good. Am I right? Did you tell me that? So you made that as at least one good deed a day. And then from the joy it gives you, and it's funny enough, the other day I was walking into Gibraltar with him, and she loves him. And she gives a big smile with no teeth. And you know, you can see the human connection, right? Makes him feel good, makes her feel good that somebody loves her. She's not just a crazy, some of you in Gibraltar, you know who I'm talking about, the woman with the dog, right?
Yeah, we give her a can of cider every day.
She's a happy woman, actually. She gets a lot of love, you know? So, but it makes you feel really good, you know? It makes you feel really good. So make a schedule for yourself and start to train yourself. Yeah, there was a funny story. I had a student in my very early days of when I started teaching. She taught me a great lesson. She came, she was actually English and been in Gibraltar for a few years. And she said, very shy, very reserved. And then one day she said to me, after we had a talk like that, she came to me, just beaming and smiling. And I said, what's changed in your life? She said, you know, Nalanie, for 2 years, I have to pass the ICC, which is a shopping center in Gibraltar. And I always see this old lady, for some reason, the same time, goes up the escalator. And I think she had a job there, whatever it was, I don't remember now, I'm going back 20 years. But at that time, and this lady would every day look at the escalator, and it'd take her 6 or 7 minutes to go on it, and she'd shake. And she said, every time I wanted to help her, but my Spanish is really bad, and I know she looks like she's Spanish, and I'm embarrassed to do that. What if she says no, right? And she said, today, before coming here, I said, even if she tells me to leave her alone, I'm going to do it. So I got her by the arm and took her up the escalator. And I said, is that why you're shining so beautifully? She said, I feel free because I followed it without fear. Isn't it odd that people should be so frightened of doing such a simple thing? I never realized that. But she wanted to do things, but she was so scared of rejection. What if people would laugh at me? I said, so what if they did? I said, look at Lord Jesus. He gave his whole life. 1 week, Hosanna in the highest. The next day, imprison him. Kill him. If they do that to Jesus, don't worry about what people will do to you. Just do what you need to do for the world. And that way, it gives you a power. It gives you a strength to be yourself without fear. Yes, you'll get rejected. I will guarantee it. You know, the amount of years I've been called a hypocrite, even by some of my students, still after 10 years ago, no, she hasn't changed in 10 years, she couldn't be a hypocrite. Do you know? It happens. If I listened to all these things, I wouldn't be sitting here today. And I wouldn't be so happy. I'd be caught in what people think of me. And, oh, I have to pretend to be this. I can't go out like this. What will they talk to me? I have to be always in these white clothes looking pristine. I go out here, I dress up, I put my makeup, and I have a good time. I wear the white clothes to remind me clean thinking everywhere I go. But do you see what I'm saying? Just be you. Learn to live. Today they'll talk about you. Tomorrow they'll talk about somebody else. Doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. If you can live, your life is priceless. I was told long ago by a wonderful lady called Silton when I went to my first retreat, and she gave us out this lovely cutting, and it's so true. It said, you are so special. There is nobody in this world with those eyes of yours. There's nobody in this world with your body. There's nobody in this world with your hair. There's nobody in this world with your personality. There is nobody in this world with your smile. There's nobody in this world that have your feet and your hands. There's nobody in this world that is like you. You are truly special. And from that day, I learned that each human being is a designer piece. And I keep saying, you're a designer piece, why would you sell yourself for a copy? And that's what most people do. We sell ourselves for a copy. Don't. Be that designer piece. When you start to live the best you can, the kindest you can, even though you're rejected, the most loving you can, there is something that happens to you. You start to love yourself a little bit more every day. You start to like yourself, and that's where you start. Selfish, selfless. Do you see how it's working? Liking yourself first. Build up that self-esteem. If you don't have self-esteem, you cannot connect to the highest. In the Bhagavad Gita it says, Lord Krishna is talking like God or your higher self to his disciple. And he says, what keeps you away from me? Fear, anger, worry. Anybody who has these, they don't have peace. What is God but peace? What keeps you away? Yourself, your mind stuff keeps you away. You can decide, I'm not taking this anymore. Finish. A moment. With your own moods, with your own tantrums, with your own, or you can go and do them and apologize and say, I'm sorry, know me, this is, I say it and forgive me. But next time I do it, tell me off, because it's not really good for me or you. You start talking about yourself freely as if you're third person, so it doesn't become personalized. And then you can constantly learn, you can constantly get better, you can constantly, and you're not fearful of admitting that you're not right. You can't be wrong, isn't it great? You can learn. We're too proud, that's another thing. If you really want to heal panic attacks, you've got to be pretty humble, my friends. Pretty humble to life. We cannot control a lot of things in our life, but the only thing we can control is how we look at every circumstance, minute by minute. And that's why all the great masters say, learn to focus on the minute. Not easy to do when your mind is chattering. We have we have to help the physical and the mental, a series of what we call asanas or hatha yoga, the physical yoga, which does help. For example, this morning I was giving a hatha yoga class, right? Vanessa, you were there, Shanti, you were there. So, what happens? People come in a little agitated, a little nervous, or a little, coming from home, rushing. Within an hour, and you both were there, within an hour and a half, everybody's like, still. This morning you were particularly still. It was so really nice. Because it works on your endocrine system. And our master designed it so perfectly. We start with the body, with lots of quick postures, and then we slow down. At the end, we finish with a deep relaxation, then we do some breathing. And by that time, your body is so quiet and so comfortable. You sit for 1 minute and you enjoy silence. What a rest from that noisy mind. It's wonderful. Nowadays people go yoga and they think it's an exercise. That's not yoga. Yoga is not about that. Yoga is actually, if you see the science book of yoga, it's called Sthira Sukham Asana, which means asana, which is the exercise, is steady, comfortable posture. The whole idea of doing those stretches and bending and strengthening is so that you are comfortable physically in the body. You can sit comfortably. And when you can sit comfortably, your mind can stay quiet. That's what it's for. It's not to lose weight, it's not to, I don't know what it's nowadays, heat yoga to make, I'm sorry, I just think it's so unhealthy. It's just basically simple postures. You don't have to twist yourself in a pretzel. You might hurt yourself, I'm very, very sad to say, because the way our master taught us was so simple and so incredibly powerful. And now it's all been changed and people think they have to go into all kinds of different postures. And I was told by a orthopedic surgeon from London, who's a very good friend of my daughter's, he said there are more injuries coming in from yoga today than any other sport. Yeah, it was sad. And this was confirmed to me in London by somebody who was taking my course. She said that she had reconfirmed it in America, right? Was the same thing. Because she came from the States to take the course, and she said there are more injuries caused in the name of yoga. So it wasn't meant for that. What does the word yoga really actually mean? To be in constant connection with the highest that is in you. People call it God or Jesus, but they get too fanatical using names. This is where it's gone wrong. It's not God's fault. He didn't do anything. It's not Jesus' fault. All he did was good. Not my master's fault. It's the disciples who use their name for their own power. And if you look at the 10 Commandments, it simply says, do not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. And our whole world is doing that now. Using it for commercialism, using it to build themselves up, using it to become famous, all the wrong reasons. Better to be simple, peaceful, and happy than to be famous and worried. Please. And then you're really famous to yourself because you can live with yourself. When you go to bed at night, there is a peace in you. What better thing can you want in life? I remember my panic days and I look back on myself now, 25, 27, 29 years later, and I go, oh my God, was that the same person? If I can do it, all of you can do it easy. I had to find my way. I mean, it was by coincidence that I found it. Like I said, I really went into yoga because I wanted to know if there was a God. I know there is. Call it what you may. My definition of it is just totally different now. Not a person, somebody that, it's nothing about heaven and hell. Just basically a power source that is love. As our very ancient book says, just a power source that is love. And I'd like to, well, since it came on this page, there you go, just thank you. You see, I just love the gods. They give you what you want. The Lord of love is the one self of all. He is detached work, spiritual wisdom, and immortality. Realize the self hidden in the heart and cut asunder the knot of ignorance here and now. Bright but hidden, the self dwells in the heart. Everything that moves, breathes, opens, closes, lives in the self. He is the source of love and may be known through love, but not through thought. He is the goal of life. Attain this goal. The shining self dwells hidden in the heart. Everything in the cosmos, great and small, lives in the self. He is the source of life, truth beyond the transience of this world. He is the goal of life. Attain this goal. Take the great bow of the sacred scriptures. Place it on an arrow of devotion. Then draw the bowstring of meditation and aim at the target, the Lord of love. The mantra is the bow, the aspirant is the arrow, and the Lord the target. Now draw the bowstring of meditation and hitting the target be one with it. Whoa, that's really quite deep, right? The Lord of love. So, you are the arrow. You are the arrow. Know where you want to aim. It cannot be reached except in the energy of unconditional love. So you have to fill yourself with unconditional love first. Love thy neighbor as thyself. What has all this got to do with panic attacks? Because it's the cause that you don't love yourself enough, that you're fearful. It's the cause that we fear death. So we live life wrongly, acting as we have to grab all the possessions, forgetting that when we go, we leave everything behind. We've forgotten to share. Do you see selfish, selfless? This is what the counselor told me. That is the difference between healing and not healing. Forgiving everyone for all the harm they have done to you, and forgiving yourself for all the harm you have done to anyone. Forgive it, let it go, past. You want to do penance? Easy, do good deeds. Live to love, love to serve. That's my motto, and the motto of our center. That's penance. It's not punishing yourself, I'm not good enough. What a lot of nonsense. There's no God that punishes you. And believe in abundance. Know it exists. I promise you. I could tell you so many stories about abundance. You just wouldn't believe. It's amazing. I mean, not only me, but many of my students now practice for many years. When they need it, they get it because they believe in abundance. It is magical, isn't it? When you fear it, it runs away. You can't get it. You can't get it. You're too fearful. Of course, you have to go through a test. Everything has to go through a test in life first to see how strong you are and whether your faith is strong or not. So this is how you deal. First, go straight to the cause of the panic. Then apply tools, physical tools, breathing, take a deep breath, do hatha yoga, or go running, or go to the gym, but don't overdo in the gym. Also can cause great injuries. You know, I see people that get over-obsessed in gyms. Oh, I'm doing really well. And one such woman was telling me, oh, my son works in a gym, 2 to 3 hours, 3 times a week. And what happens? Actually, the muscles become so hard, right, that he tripped over something and just broke the bone. Really badly in 3 or 4 places. Because he was just building up, but he wasn't stretching and strengthening. Because you've got to build up, not just build up the muscle, you've got to stretch it too. And what is it lacking at the gym? So watch your exercise, be weary of what your body can do. But if you don't like hatha yoga, there are many things. Walking for me is the safest, swimming is wonderful. Swimming, water is so healing. These are the things you do. Make a plan. Do it for yourself. You deserve it. And then, on the more mental level, sit down and try to spend 10 minutes every day in a kind of meditation. In the beginning, it's difficult. What time are we now? 7:20. We'll do it now before we finish. I have 2 questions.
We can carry on with the same topic next week. It seems to
Yes.
be, I think it'd be a good topic to continue with
We can
the
continue.
questions.
Yeah, because I
I
don't
think
have
so.
time.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so we can show you with a little bit meditation how you start. You start first because to keep the mind quiet immediately is quite impossible. If anybody tells you you can stop your thoughts, it took me years to do that. Years upon years, all right? And I think one day when I had 30 seconds where it was just one thought, saying my mantra and nothing else, and then the thought that I'm saying my mantra, that was 2 thoughts. I was in bliss. I was so rested because instead of a million thoughts, there were only 2 thoughts. I was getting somewhere finally after years of practice. So don't worry about that. It's the expertise you get, you develop in the practice of watching your mind. And when you watch your mind, you know what you're thinking. You can change it. You're just about to be angry. Imagine the zip. Imagine, go get good imagination. Imagine the zip. Oh, I've got it here. I'm going to burst it. Go for a run. Do something. Play ball with kids. Come on, kids. Let's go play some football. Whatever you want. Go dance. Turn on the music. That for me was a savior. I used to be a dance teacher. Just turn on the music and just dance in my sitting room. After 5 minutes of dancing, it's all gone, right? Isn't it? You didn't say it. You didn't do something harmful. You saved yourself from disaster. Because you saved yourself from the effect of the cause. It's the same with panic attack. You have to save yourself. Nobody can save you. People can help you. They can share their knowledge with you. I can only share my knowledge. But unless you sit down and do it, you don't get anywhere. Sorry, you just don't. You have to help yourself. And you know what better work than helping yourself? It makes your life so interesting. You're never bored. You can be on the plane, you can be on a bus, and you're not worried about queues. I used to, early days, I never used to like queues. But later days when I started practicing, I don't mind a queue because I was doing my mantra, and I was doing visualization, watching people. Oh my God, look, the impatient person is the one that is suffering. The patient one is the one that's so relaxed. Oh. The other day I had to go to get my license in the traffic department. And, oh my God, this person was like, and I told him, I said, please don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to yourself. You're going to end up with a heart attack, and then what worth is your life? So relax, stand in a queue, just think of nice things, talk about nice things. It went. 15 minutes went like that. I started chatting to him, and what about this? And distract the mind. It went. But otherwise, this is how I realized. I looked at queues and watched people. The unhappy people. No patience. I'm agitated. I want to do it now. I have this. I'm too busy. I have to do this. I don't have this day. Stress. I feel so sad because it's them that they're hurting, nobody else. Yeah, nobody's going to like them. Everybody's like 10 meters away, don't want to be near you, But then you start to appreciate all the things that you didn't appreciate. So much you can do when you learn to work with yourself. You're too busy to get involved in people's nastiness and their affair. You just want to make yourself better so you can be a better human being in the world. And then, as a result, you live in heaven. And unfortunately, it's very sad to see many people live in hell. Our time here is short. I just keep saying that because it is short. You've lost a mother, you've lost a father, and, it's short. Do all the good things you want to do while you're living. Live the dream, and it's so possible. The Lord of Love, when you're in that energy, will give you whatever you want. My father always used to teach me that. He said, give love, Nalanie, and you will get love. That's the secret of life. You don't need to know anything else. He was very wise. That's how he lived. He gave love, 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 and his entire life, he built an empire from nothing. So it really does work, and no fear. Whatever he got, he shared. Whatever he got, he shared. Not only with his family, but with the world. With his children, definitely. His birthday, and he would buy diamonds for all his daughters. So, Dad's not my birthday, it's your birthday. Let us give you something. No, I want to buy diamonds for all my daughters. And that's what he did. I have the money. I cannot take it with it when I die. I like to see my daughters in beautiful diamond earrings. There. Every anniversary, same thing. He'd give it to his daughters and his sons. He'd buy them gold watches. Honest, that was Dad. Dad, what about you? Oh, I have so much. I don't need another watch. They said, Chandra, give it away, give it away, give it away. But so happy to give it to everybody. So when you live in that kind of abundance, there's no panic. There's zero panic. There's zero fear. So that's the cause of all panic attacks, not knowing where you belong on this earth. Find yourself, and then you'll find your peace. And next week we'll cover more. And now we'll just, because the time is going, we'll do that creative visualization first, and that's how we start. We actually have a word for it in Sanskrit, if anybody remembers, concentration. Dhyana. No, meditation. Dharana. Dharana. Oh, I think I've answered this. Where does the attack come from? What does it mean? It comes from a place of fear, low self-esteem, guilt. Definitely some kind of guilt there that you need to work out. Find out what it is. And if you can't, always call me. How to keep a practice in busy times. Make time. Get up 1 minute early every day, and you get half an hour in a month. All you have to do is get up 1 minute earlier every day, and in 1 month you will have 30 minutes that you've never had before. And you'll enjoy the practice so much that it may increase to 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever you want. One thing about this practice is you actually become more time efficient. You can do a lot more in a day than you could have done, because when you learn to focus your mind in meditation, it teaches you to focus your life as well. So if you have a job to be done, you focus on the job. It trains you. That's why I said, don't worry if the mind is not quiet in the early days. Don't worry about that. You're training it. There's a process going on, but you're watching it and training it. And one day you just realize you get up and you attend to everything with thought. With thought of that thing, without 1,000 other thoughts. So you get up in the morning, you make your tea, and you go, like I do every morning. My coffee is Om Namah Shivaya. You know, even when you stir, it's a mantra, but it's with thought. It's not, rush the coffee, gotta drink it, no, gotta run to work. No, Om Namah Shivaya. Even if you're doing it, talking, it's still going on like music. So that moment becomes so beautiful and so fulfilled. That's what you're training, all right? Beautiful thoughts first, and then by itself, no thought will come one day when you least expect it. Don't expect. All this nonsense that you can keep your mind quiet in a single second, very rare that anybody can do that. Very rare. So, we will close your eyes. Inhale deeply. please imagine a beautiful white light surrounding your entire body, protecting it, keeping it safe. Try and visualize this light around your body. Feel the warmth around your neck and shoulders. Be aware of your fingertips. You will feel the energy and tingling in them. Now please bring this beautiful light and imagine it's shaped like a beautiful ball that looks like the sun. So sparkly, so beautiful, so warm, so healing. And take this ball of light and place it in your heart area. For effect in your own mind, take your right palm of your right hand and put it on your heart. Feel the warmth. And in that light, see the face of someone that makes you so happy, so joyful. What brings that person that brings the best out in you. See that face. And see that face smile. And see how it fills your heart with love. Such a nice feeling. Feeling of ease and comfort. And now bring yourself to that light. Bring it into that ball of light. And see yourself. That designer piece I spoke about earlier. There's nobody like you. Look at yourself. See yourself clearly. And now see a picture of yourself smiling. Really smiling. Really joyful. Turn around and look at your past. Your past has made you who you are today. Don't be frightened of it. Accept it. See the beautiful moments in the past. How quick the mind works. And see all those horrible moments. And send them love and forgiveness. If there's any particular event in your life that is still hurting you and causing you pain, please take a few seconds to just bring that into the light. Look at it, be it a person or circumstance, and say, I forgive you. I forgive it all. I'm willing to let it go. It's over. And hear that person or that circumstance say back to you, I've already forgiven you. And I'm letting you go. Be free. See yourself looking as you are today, the clothes that you're wearing today. And see from this moment, you can live the life life you want. You just have to make very powerful decisions. And see yourself happy. See yourself peaceful. See yourself go home tonight and write, I'm tired of saying I'll change tomorrow. I'm doing it now. I'm doing it now. And I'm going to start from this second. I'm going to have a nice bath before I go to bed. I'm going to smile at my family when I get home. I'm going to change the atmosphere wherever I go into love and kindness and joy. And see yourself do it. Don't doubt it. If you make a mistake, get right up and do it again and again and again till you perfect the action in the days to come. Never doubt you can. Now take a slow, deep breath. Exhale all the tension out of your body. Just spend a minute in silence with me and enjoy the love of the universe. Enjoy what you do have. And just fill your heart with gratitude and love. Peace to all. Om Shanti. Peace to all. Om Shanti. Peace to And it means in English, may the entire universe be filled with peace and joy, love and light. May the light of truth overcome all the darkness that lives in our minds. Jai Shri Sadguru Satchidanandaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai just means victory over the mind. And you just did it for 12 minutes. So how easy is it to make time for yourself? We started at 7:30 and it's 13 minutes to 8. Do you see? So first you trick the mind into beautiful thoughts. But first you have to heal yourself from whatever is causing those thoughts. And that's how you heal it, with forgiveness. And then, once you spend a little time forgiving, then the next step, it becomes quieter and quieter. And who are you helping? If you can't do that for you, why do you expect anybody else to do anything for you? So love yourself enough to make some time for yourself every day. And then you will have conversations with God.